This video is designed to walk through collaborating on a Google form. Google Form isn't set up exactly the same way as some of the other apps, Google Docs, Google Slides, so it's important to understand the differences. The number one difference when you are adding a collaborator is that Google Forms does not have version history. So we have to think a little differently as we are collaborating on forms because there's no way to revert back to a previous version of the form. So because of that, what I have done, and I think I will continue to do, is to make a copy of the form. I will have my original form, which I have here, and then I will go to the three dots and make a copy of this form. Now I already did that just to make it the presentation go a little faster. And so I now have the copy of the form, and I changed it. I took off the my copy of, and I just added the word collaboration. You could leave the copy of on there if you want. It's the naming isn't important. It's just important that you know which one was the original and which one was a collaboration. Now, another reason I like that is if the person I'm collaborating with deletes a question by accident or they just don't think that's appropriate to be there and I really wanted it, I don't have to retype it. I can simply import that question back in to this form. So because I've got that as my backup. So something else that I think would be helpful when collaborating on forms is if you have maybe one or two people helping you to compile a quiz and you want to do it together, you can create sections for each person. So here's a section for Kim, and then here is, we'll add another section here for Mary, whatever. Okay, so I like doing the sections because then Mary knows exactly to go to her section and add her questions in this section. And so I can see at a glance then the questions that were created by that person. So again, if this works for you, use it. If not, obviously, don't feel obligated to do that. The nice thing is when I'm done, if I don't want those sections in there, I can just merge it with the section above and end up with just a single page quiz, a linear quiz, and not have the page breaks that sectioning does. All right, so let's go ahead and set up the collaboration. And then I have another idea or tip for how to tell what changes were made during this process. So to set up the collaboration, I can go to the Send button, and at the bottom of this window is the option to add collaborators. That is also found under the three dots, and I'll show you that in a minute. So I'm going to add Dixie in as my collaborator. It's set to notify people, which means it will go to their email, which I like. And I notice that there's only one option here, editor. That's it. So that's a little different than like Google Docs. So just know that this person, Dixie, has the same rights as Kim in this form. In the message, I want to be clear on my expectations. Do I want Dixie to do? Do I just want her to look at it and kind of okay it and tell me everything looks good? Do I want her to fix any typos or grammatical errors that she sees? Just fix them. Don't worry about telling me about them. Just fix them for me. Is she expected to add in 4 or 5 of her own questions? What are the expectations here? Try to be as clear as possible, especially if you're not going to see that person face to face or on the phone or whatever prior to this collaboration. The other thing that I think is important is how much time do they have? Do you need it tomorrow? Do you need it next week? That's completely different in the way that how they schedule their time to help you out with this. And then add any other information that you feel would be helpful. Now, there is one more setting I want you to be aware of under the gear. There are two items. This first one is the one that I usually change. Editors can change permissions and share. Well, I don't really want Dixie to do that. If she wants it shared with somebody else, I would prefer that she let me know and then I would share it with the other person. So again, that's one way that you can establish a little bit more control over the form. Use it or not at your discretion. All right, I'm ready to send it. It's going to show up in her email box. She clicks on it, it opens up, and she's going to see exactly what you're going to see. All right, so a tip on what Dixie can do, I'm going to demonstrate as if I'm Dixie here, to let you know what changes were made. So what I came up with was using this description area. It's hidden by default, so I turn it on, and then I just typed in what I did. So I changed this, before it was just name, I changed it to first name and added a new question to capture the last name. Okay, so down here, I could add a description and just says new question added. Now, I really like this because as the owner, I can scroll through, and if I see anything in this description area, I know a change was made. I think that's going to be really helpful and easy for the collaborator to let me know what he or she did on the form. Okay, down here, they just wrote down, it might be, hey, that one's okay. Nothing to do there. Now, here's another example. Kim had 4 questions asking kind of basically true false questions, and Dixie thought of a different way of writing this, and so she added a question to the form, and in here in her notes she just said, I combined your previous questions and made a checkbox grid. I also added another question, blah blah blah. Okay, so again, she didn't delete these because Kim may not want them all combined for whatever reason. This is just another way of looking at it and to share that with Kim very easily. And then if I was in charge of, if Mary was in charge of some questions, maybe the next person I shared with was Mary, or maybe I shared with both of them at the same time. In forms, I would keep the collaboration to a very small number, 1, 2 people at the most. If you get too many people in there, I think it just opens it up for lots of opportunities for mistakes to be made. All right, so Dixie's done. She sends me a message, an email. Kim, I've reviewed the form, check the descriptions to see what I've done. Let me know if you need me to do anything else. So the last and maybe one of the most important things is, now that that collaboration is over, is I want to remove Dixie from the form. I don't want Dixie to go in later and make changes, especially if I've already distributed this form. So I'm going to go to editor and I'm going to remove her from the form and save that. And now I can be assured that she won't be able to go back in there and make changes after I think that we're already done. So at this point in time, I can then either change the name so that I know maybe this is the revised version. And then I know again, I still have my original here, but now I have one that is the revised, and maybe I date it, whatever I do, so that it's clear to me which one is the most current version. Maybe that's what I put, current version. All right, I hope that these tips will help you establish and set up a successful collaboration. I look forward to reading about your reflections on this process. Take care.